If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. Okay, is that any better? Let me know. Um, all right. Somebody says they still can't hear, so this isn't gonna do me any good. Um, Let me see. All right, there's a few people watching over on Facebook. Facebook, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear. Okay, so on YouTube, she says they say they can hear now. So somebody else says yes, they can hear. All right, well, I'm just gonna go with this. We're gonna go with the um microphone on the computer. That means I don't need these. All right. Well, shoot. I would having a hard time figuring out all this stuff. Okay. So now everybody, I think, can hear me. So let's go back to our little chat for today is primarily going to be about poop, like poop. And I was saying before we took care of the microphone that it is super important to keep track of your kids too. I work with a lot of families and a lot of, moms are super surprised when I sit down and start talking with their kids about how their kids are struggling to poop and they have no idea. Why would we? Because it's not like general talk, like it's not table talk, right? So when do we talk about poop? We want to think of and kids and like women and hormones, all of that can play into this when and how you're pooping. So on average, a nice normal poop is kind of thinking about it as one poop per meal. So if you eat 2 meals a day, 2 poops a day. If you eat once a day, 1 poop a day. So a lot of people are really blown away by what they think is normal in that whole realm and then what is really normal. All right, I'm distracted here. I'm gonna look at comments. Chalem uses Cellcore's bowel mover. That is an awesome product. Yes. And we will talk about a couple of different products that can help you in this poop department. A lot of times doing those things that we know to do, like just being fully hydrated, is like one of the biggest keys, depending on how you eat. If you are more on that carnivore style of eating, your digestion is going to be super slow, but it's always moving through you, right? Unless you have fasted for a day or if you're on water, but you should still be moving your bowels. So, out there, like, give me some comments. Is there anybody out here who does not poop every day? Is there anybody in the comments who is like, what? What? I've never pooped every day. Let me know who you are, who is having some of those problems. Hey, over here on TikTok. All right. So, looking for comments. Who is like really constantly constipated, is not pooping every day? All right. So those slow, sluggish bowels. Sometimes there is absolutely mechanical reasons that need to be addressed. That is not what this video is about. We are talking about just general, normal things, getting things going. Okay. So let's talk about that Bristol stool chart. I am not really prepared to share my screen. So, depending on where you're at, I will be doing some Facebook posts about this later, probably today or tomorrow. So, we'll have some pictures. But anybody can look up that Bristol stool chart, Bristol stool chart. And so it is just got little poop pictures, right? So, type 1 is that rabbit turd that is hard, lumpy, kind of looks like little nuts. I don't care what age you are, that is absolutely constipation, that is dehydration. So that is something that definitely needs to be addressed. So who in the comments has got the little rabbit stool going on? You see this a lot with kids, and it's still not normal, not even with kids. So hydration, and especially with kids, some meg citrate. Like my favorite is Designs for Health. It's a powder. It's got a little lemony taste to it. Meg citrate can really help with that stool regularity. Take it at bedtime. It's going to need to be oral. It's not going to, like, rubbing it on your feet in to prove bowels is not going to help. So once you start using magnesium and it's been a few days and you're getting some results, you might end up with kind of the type 6. And that's going to be almost a fluffy, mushy pile of stool. And that's that magnesium doing its job. Another product that I really love is from, oh shoot, what is their brand? It's called OxyPower, and it is ozonated magnesium, and that stuff is powerful. It will really get your bowels going. Now, the second type 2, it kind of looks like a sausage, but it's lumpy. Like, it's firm and it's lumpy, kind of like you can tell those little rabbit turds were stuck together, but they're coming out. So that again is definitely still dehydration. That is still constipation. That lumpy type is usually really dehydration. Like, you've got to drink more water. We all know that that's a thing, but why is it so hard to get ourselves to drink water? I don't know. We don't want to drink tap water. I definitely like distilled water is preferred, or really filtered water. Spring water is great. So it's just so important. I can't stress it enough. Preaching to the choir, myself as well. You know, you just go for the coffee, or you want something fun, or you want something flavored, and you just don't think that water is fun enough, right? Which is not true. Water is fun. Water is life. All right, let's look at the comments. All right. Thank you guys for the comments. I appreciate that. We've got a few people here with us. Keep those comments coming. I will do my best to multitask and see what's what. So, talking about constipation, it's super important that you look. Sometimes your stool is going to float. Sometimes it's going to sink. A lot of times that floating stool, the first question we think is what's going on with the gallbladder when your stool wants to float. When your stool wants to float, there might be some digestion, like some enzyme deficiencies. Your gallbladder is what is responsible for digesting fat. So if you're missing your gallbladder, or if your gallbladder's in trouble, the floating stool means that fats, your good fats or your bad fats, either way, are not getting digested. And we need good fats in our diet. But that's what makes it buoyant. That's what makes that stool buoyant, is that extra undigested fat in there. So we do want to be aware of that. Anybody, hand raise if you have got if you're missing a gallbladder, or if you have got floating stool. Like, don't be shy. We're going to talk about poop here. I'm a nurse. You're a human. You poop. And every day is a science experiment. Every day can be like checking in with you. If you're just here, we said earlier, at least one poop a day, one meal a day, one poop a day. If you eat 3 times a day, that should be 3 poops a day. So if you are going a day without pooping, we need to fix that. We need to work on that. Bristol stool chart is the subject that we're on. Type 3 is kind of that
cracks. Like you're still going to be firm, but it's going to look dry. It's going to look cracked. So that still hydration issue, adding a little bit of fiber depending on your diet, where you get your fiber. If you just eat if you eat fiber, if you eat apples with the skins, if you eat oranges, that kind of thing. Maybe you do chia seed, or maybe you add like some psyllium husk or something like that to one of your drinks during the day. So fiber is kind of a big deal. We need those plant materials in our diet to kind of keep things going. Right, looking for comments, looking for comments. Right, who is still super surprised to find out they should be pooping at least once a day? And we talked earlier about your kids. Nobody, like, get them used to this being normal. We don't want them to be like afraid to tell somebody what's going on. Of course, they don't need to tell everybody about their poop. It's hard. Like, where are you talking too much about it? Where are you not talking enough about it? What is socially acceptable? What is it? So that you need to have those conversations with your kids so they know what's inside the house is appropriate, what's outside the house, like what we don't share. But we don't want to have that shaming when it comes to this topic. We really don't. And I know even when I was younger, it was like, oh man, older people, like especially that geriatric community, they get super fixated on bowel movements and on poop, but it is a big deal, and it can be really difficult to manage. So type 5 is that soft, blobby, like I said, sometimes foamy. That's like when your magnesium is really working. If it's kind of getting light and foamy, it can also be a sign of stress. Like if you're going through some physical or emotional stress, that can come out in your bowel movements. They'll be maybe not nice and solid. They'll be weird and runny. It can also be a sign of just general flora imbalance. Then there's type 6, that is a just mushy mess. That's probably an inflammation, like somebody who's already always loose and always just that mushy mess that makes you want to use those nice wet disposable wipes because it's just sticky, mussy, yuck, gross, right? That is really when if you've got that going on, if that's kind of your normal, it is time to investigate your IgA or your IgG food sensitivities. That is a good sign that you're just really inflamed in the colon. Like your colon should be nice and red and soft tissue, but it shouldn't be inflamed. I always think like of raw hamburger, right? Your colon should not have that much inflammation in it. And when you have that kind of inflammation, you're going to have leaky gut. Those food particles, those proteins are going to be leaking into your bloodstream and causing inflammation in the rest of your body. So that is something that you really want to take note of. We do that kind of testing in my practice. If you are a client of mine, we can do food allergy testing. There are really quite a few different ways that you can do it. I prefer blood. I prefer a blood draw. I myself just recently was introduced to a new blood test that has your IgA, which I had never tested before, and your IgG. And I really liked the IgA portion of it because even the last time I did a stool test to see what was going on with my microbiome, my IgA marker was high, which says there's still inflammation there. There's something that is still going on. So what? Like what? Because your immune system is different on that IgA level or that kind of reaction than it is even on the IgG or the IgE. So when I got my results back, my IgA, that test, I really liked it because it was a $450 test, but I think it was totally worth it. It um did some food additives like some of those sugar alcohols. It did actual food dyes and spices. So, like for me on the IgA side, which is really interrupting your actual immune system in your gut and causing that inflammation, dairy was super hard and high for me. And especially like the dairy that is fermented, like kefir was really hard, really high. Yogurt was really high. So that's, we want to think that fermented foods are good for us, but like my test showed that they're not good for everybody. So that's because in general fermented foods are supposed to be good for you. They were wrecking my gut. So we don't know these things until we test. So I love my functional testing. If you would like to work with me, if you would like some testing done, you can easily go to my website. If you go under challenges, or there's all different pop-ups on my on my website, wherever you're looking for information, then you can get a hold of me. But testing is so important. It is just, we can guess, we can do food eliminations and we can do things like that, but it is just not the same as testing and having the answer in black and white. You save so much time and so much money in the long run that it is just totally worth knowing what your food allergies are. I have got some amazing group packages. So we do group coaching. So you have a more intimate one-on-one, not one-on-one, me to one to many group setting where we learn from each other and we support each other. We build a community. In those group packages, there are tests included. So depending on, how ill you are or how much you want to know on your healing journey. Maybe you've done a bunch of testing and maybe you haven't done any. So in that group, you're going to kind of pick where you fit in, how much testing you want to do. And that testing, and then as well as the retesting, is included. A great place to start, again, is on my website under challenges. One of my favorite tests is the genetic saliva test that helps it helps us figure out exactly what your body needs on the really basic building blocks. So it is genetic, it's saliva. It looks at all those gene SNPs that are so trending right now. Everybody's talking about the methylation SNPs, the MTHFR, the COMP genes. This test is super affordable and it has it all. So that is a great introduction to one, working with me, seeing if you're ready, and two, just having a foundation. Even if you just do that test and you just follow those supplement guidelines and you don't go any further than that for years, you still will be way further ahead than not doing that test. Let's talk about type 7. Type 7 on that Bristol stool chart is when you just are pure liquid. You might see a lot of undigested food, and that kind of thing. And that, like, people really can go back and forth between that and like constipation, but that pure liquid is also constipation. That is sign that there's maybe some kind of minor blockage there that is obstructing things, and people will really bounce back and forth with like IBS diagnosis between that total full-on liquid and constipation. A lot of people have pain and cramps, and none of that is normal, and all of that is really fixable, much more fixable than the medical perspective leads you to believe. When you have that going on, for me, like 100%, there's a parasite issue and toxic issue, and then like that whole liver, gallbladder, your estrogen bloom, all of that. We have to take into account all of that when you are constipated, especially females. A lot of times they'll be constipated all month, and then when they bleed, they finally poop. When those hormones flatline, they finally poop. So there's a ton of liver work to do there. There's a ton of liver involvement. PCOS, all of it, a ton of liver work, bile work. We have to detoxify, we have to clean up your bile so all of this works better. That pure liquid stuff, if that's just all of a sudden happened out of the blue, you don't have the alternating constipation, diarrhea, IBS stuff, then there's a good chance you've got some kind of infection going on. We do a stool test, so we see what that bacteria looks like. We see if there's some rogue bacteria that is way too high, even like C. diff infections. So we know what's going on, and then we know what products or what herbs to use to fix it. A lot of times it's I like Designs for Health. So there is an herb called, or a supplement called Allicin, and that has got a lot of garlic in it. Garlic is very antimicrobial. Or they've got a super strong oil of oregano. Oil of oregano, super antimicrobial. Or sometimes we might need, to get out some other herbs. It all depends on what it is that we need to mitigate. But always, toxins are a big thing, and parasites are a big thing. Now, who has had a colonoscopy? Me. Back in my late 20s, early 30s, I had constant heartburn, gastritis. I had a time where I had a bloody bowel movement, like as a nurse, like that is a smell you never forget. Digested blood has a very, very distinct smell. So I myself, before I started this healing journey, I was that person with IBS, with constant heartburn. I was on a proton pump inhibitor. Oh my gosh, for I think my 20s and 30s for sure. And I was addicted to Diet Coke. I ran on Diet Coke and stress, like period, like most people in their 20s and 30s or 40s and 50s, right? I just American standard diet, ate crappy, was completely clueless about any of this. And medical, just did the normal medical approach. Really, in my life, that Protonix was the only prescription I've ever consistently filled. And when we take away that stomach acid, nothing else works right. When we take away stomach acid, and I just get on a soapbox about this, those proton pump inhibitors like Nexium, now they're all over the counter. I can't remember like what year that was that omeprazole first went over the counter, and then pretty soon it was Nexium. And those medications, right, even on the back of them, they say for 2 weeks. Like they say 2 weeks. My doctor was prescribing that. I was filling that for years. Like it was at least 10 years, if not longer, and still getting breakthrough heartburn. Like that's a big deal. That is not good. Again, our stomach acid is our first line of defense. So when we take that away, and then like I had no idea, but knowing what I know now, I have had MTHFR gene mutations. So when you have that and you take away the stomach acid, your body cannot detox. Like cannot detox. So for me, I've had this awakened to wellness for around 5 years. So I've been living a detox lifestyle for that long. And I am telling you, the stuff that has come out of me is crazy. Is crazy. I wish I would have done the total tox burden test earlier in the game. I did it pretty late. Now the total tox burden, everybody should do this test. You can get it. You don't have to be my client. You can go to my website, awakenwellnessllc.com, and go under functional tests. And then it's all the way down to the bottom with Vibrant Wellness. It's a urine test. Just do it. Just do it. Just see where your toxins are. It does mold toxicity. It does heavy metals and environmental toxins. And it is astonishing. If you're sick, if you're chronically ill, if you have fatigue, if you have no energy, you're toxic. If you live on this planet and you have not really taken intentional measures to take care of your liver and detoxify, you are toxic. Let alone the majority of people, at least 50%, have got gene mutations where they're not detoxifying. And on top of that, the yuck crap sprayed on fortified vitamins are just toxic. They are clogging up your liver. So, and then if you're constipated, on top of that, your toxins get recirculated in your bile, back to your liver, back through your body. So even your poor little liver, if it was getting a little bit of them through the phases of methylation and bound so it could get out of you, then you're constipated and then it just has to go back up. So your poor little body is just constantly working overtime. We have to address these things. So a cheap, easy way to address them, if you are metabolically flexible enough to fast, do some fasting. It's going to take more than intermittent fasting. But if you have never tried fasting before, if you get weak or shaky when you haven't eaten a couple meals, that means you're not metabolically flexible. Do not attempt to just do a full 24-hour water fast or 48 or 72 or whatever the case. If you know you get shaky, then okay, so that is a huge clue that you have blood sugar issues, that you are not metabolically flexible. So that's a whole different video. That's a whole different story. That's something you probably really need to work with me as a practitioner or a practitioner similar to me. That is liver. That is liver. You've got to work on your liver. Don't get hung up on your blood sugar. It's a liver problem, right? If you got PCOS, don't get hung up on your hormones. It's a liver problem. So all things, your body's like a Swiss watch. The nervous system in the middle, all the other systems around it. And we can never tweak on one gear and not expect it to affect the full body. So always from a full body perspective. But I will tell you, we cannot fix any of it if you're constipated. We can't fix any of it if you're constipated. If you follow me, you know my main jam is deep detoxification and parasite cleanse. Like not these little over-the-counter, buy it on TikTok. That stuff is making people worse. It is making people sick. They think they feel good that first 2 weeks. And then after that, if they didn't have their pathways open, if they didn't follow through, bad things really start to happen in the body. So you have to have your pathways open. You have to be at a minimum pooping once a day. Even better if you're able to sweat. So if you are one of those people that cannot really sweat, and some people don't know what I mean by that because they've never really thought of it or they've never really heard of it. But if you can't sweat, you know what I mean. That is not a good sign. That's not a good sign at all. Don't be going crazy with detox stuff or parasite work if you cannot sweat. There's some major blockages in your lymph system, in your colon, All sorts of things need to be addressed. We have to do these things layer by layer. So, myself, I'm a Cellcore practitioner. I thought I knew a lot about functional health until I met Cellcore. I thought I knew a lot about just detoxification and I didn't know nothing. My body didn't know nothing until I started using the Cellcore products. So the easiest way to think of it is like a funnel. Like, let me find my camera like this. So your body, if you think of it as a funnel, with the bottom right here being the openness of your colon. So if your colon is closed, or if you're constipated, nothing is coming out. So the toxins are filling up the in between this space with your toxins. So your stool is full of toxins, and it should be, because that's how they get out of your body, as well as your bound like hormones like estrogens and things like that. They have to get out of your body, right? So the stool, like this. And if this is closed off, if you're not pooping well, then then you leak through here into those toxins, leak into your lymphatic system and then out your skin, and you get weird rashes and eczema and even fungal problems in your body. Like if you get mold in your folds or fungus in your fat folds or things like that, you have got constipation issues. Even if you don't think you're constipated, you're constipated. Absolutely. I love my clients who are willing to do some coffee enemas, who are willing to get aggressive with the detox process. Like if you are seriously ill and you're seriously serious about getting well, you're going to have to do all the things. You're going to have to do maybe multiple different kinds of enemas. We have all sorts of recipes that we use. You're gonna have to sauna. You're gonna have to sweat. You're gonna have to move your body. You're gonna have to drink distilled water. And a lot of times, I know I'm probably not firm enough about the distilled water, but if you follow me, or if you're my client and I haven't been firm enough about the distilled water, then it's kind of that, if you're not getting better, what we're doing, and it's not happening rapidly, then we're going to have to look at your water. We're going to have to take a look at your water. Distilled water is the only way of getting all the microbes out of it, getting all the toxins out of it. And yes, whether we drink distilled water or normal water, we still have to remineralize it. That's just a given. Our adrenals, our body needs those minerals. We are so mineral depleted in general. We just are. So I had talked a little bit about your easiest way to start resetting your bowel health if you're metabolically flexible enough. Don't forget, if you just jumped in, I rattled on a lot of warnings about metabolic flexibility. If you get shaky after you don't eat for like 6 hours, you're not ready. You can't just jump into fasting. We have to work on your liver. But fasting, intermittent fasting, if you can so you're pulling like even a 2-day fast, those stem cells really start to reset. And it doesn't have to be 2 days. I think it's even after 17 hours, maybe it is. I'd have to look. You start to heal. You start to get some new stem cells in that colon. So if you're on a budget and you can do it, if you're metabolically flexible enough, start intermittent fasting. And then if you're not metabolically flexible, start working on it. Even if you can just increase your fasting hour or your eating hour, however it works out better in your brain, even just by an hour at a time, and work up to it. If you can do 2 meals a day and do 6 hours in between and then fast on either end, that is a great way of starting to become more metabolically flexible. And you want that to be more about your self-discipline and finding self-worth. And when you can start to pull a fast like that, you just really feel like you're in control. It is a great feeling when you can tell your taste buds they're not the boss of you, and you can really get into some fasting. Now, at different times, different videos, we can do a little bit more about fasting, about how to break a fast, that kind of thing. Another thing you can do is just do a bone broth fast. If you're not ready to just do an all-in water fast, do bone broth and put like some butter in your bone broth so your body feels taken care of. You won't get as much brain fog. You'll have that protein. The only way to know if that's kicking you out of a fast is to check your blood sugar. So it's really great if you're going to get into a fasting lifestyle to try a CGM, so continuous blood sugar monitor. That you can get a hold of on my website. Let's see, that's under affiliate products, and it is Thea Health Continuous Blood Sugar Monitor. So you don't have to have a doctor's order. You do sign up with Thea Health. The initial sign up fee to use their app and to get their doctor that prescription. I forget how much that is. You'll just have to go to my website and check it out. And then after that, the blood sugar monitors are, you get, I think it's $75 for 2 of them, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I wore one, but they're a great tool. I just did it for 2 months because I just wanted to know. And for myself, I didn't realize how low my blood sugar would get during the day and during the night. So there again, that is kind of a clue that there is a little flexibility issues. I didn't have any symptoms when mine would dip really low. I couldn't tell. I didn't feel goofy, and I didn't like just eat food because I knew it was that low. I just kept doing what I do, and it would rebound. It was no big deal. But these are things that we only know in if we use one of those continuous blood sugar monitors. You can do just the normal poke your finger, your fasting level, and then after you eat, check to see how much it's risen, and then check it again in a couple of hours to see how it's coming down. That's the best way to know if you're flexible. Another great little tool that I really like is called a Keto Mojo. And those have got the strips that you can see where your ketones are at, as well as your blood sugar. So it all kind of depends on your intention and what you're hoping to accomplish. But these are things that if you want to work with me on a one-to-one intensive coaching, then we'll talk about all of that when that is right for you, or if that's right for you. So when I work with you one-to-one intensive coaching, we will do bioenergetic testing. We'll always do that. And that just gives me an overall picture of who you are in that moment and what your body needs for support. So we do some energy work, we do some energy healing, and I always give you a tincture to help support that. I make that on the spot for you. If you're working from a distance, I mail them to you. Then we're going to go over in great detail where you're at the day I meet you, what your symptoms are, what your needs are, what you're trying to fix, right? So always keeping in mind that I don't diagnose, and I don't mean to be a jerk when I say, honestly, I don't care what your diagnosis is. I don't care if your diagnosis is CANCER or diabetes or irritable bowel disease or high blood pressure. Honestly, it doesn't matter what is wrong with you. in a roundabout way, we fix it all the same. We fix it all the same. Your body is like a big Jenga game, right? It's like a big Jenga game. And when you go to that medical model and these symptoms are up here in your Jenga game, and it's like an ill for a pill, right? So what they're really doing is taking out one Jenga piece and putting it up on top. It's not fixing anything. It's just distributing the problem. And a lot of times, especially with medications, then it's adding new problems to the weight on the top of your Jenga tower, right? So when I work with people, it's from a root cause perspective. So again, it doesn't matter what is wrong with you. If it is the big C, if it is IBS, if it's diabetes, if it's heart disease, it all started in your body the same. It all started with toxins, emotional and mental traumas, parasites, pathogens, viruses, a terrain issue, an immune system issue, and deficiencies. Basic nutritional deficiencies, lack of mitochondrial energy. So, when these things are out of balance, when you're missing basic building blocks for cellular energy and your mitochondria become sick and then your terrain is off because, like me, the doctor puts you on proton pump inhibitors for 10 years and completely wrecks your whole body, right? So the basic building blocks, all sickness, all disease, I don't care what label it is, who called it what, we fix it the same. We fix it at the root cause. We detoxify, we pull out what is missing or what is not supposed to be there. We work on the emotional stuff, that growth, like forgiveness, all of it. I do that on an energetic standpoint, and I give you homework. So I'm not a therapist, that you're going to get the homework, but we have a tool for that. So you can take care of that, right? You can do all the homework, you can do all the journaling, or you can just take the energetic balancer and say, thank you, Lord, these toxic emotions are out of me. We know toxic emotions, traumas lead to disease. We have to look at the whole person. We have to look at the whole you, not just part of you. And that basic nutrition. Like I had said earlier, one of the tests I often use is a little saliva genetic test that tells us what your gene SNPs need, what your body needs to make energy, to make your mitochondria work, like your ATP cell cycle. We could say you need more vitamin C because you're not making energy, you're not getting all the loop made in the ATP cycle. Or we can say, how about we take that toxin out that's in the way so you don't need mega doses of vitamin C to make energy, right? Or CoQ10 is a big one that nobody gives enough credit to, nobody talks about enough. But again, in that ATP cycle, if we pull out the toxins first that are blocking that natural pathway, sometimes the rest of it just falls into place. So that deep detoxification is imperative. And you know me, I hate the word detox. I really do. I hate the word detox because people just use it so flippantly. Like they just talk about doing a detox. I'm going to detox for 2 months, or I'm going to detox for 2 weeks, or whatever it is. And a lot of times they make things worse. They make things worse because you push past that first step in methylation and your body can't make it to the second step. So you think you're doing good and then boom, you just crash. You make it worse. All right. You make it worse. Okay, guys, I've been on here for long enough. I'm always have a hard time wrapping things up. I just get to talking. And just like the body, all the systems are connected. It's super hard to just pick a subject. The subject of the day, if you just got here, started out being poop, and then it ended up being something else. But poop, it's so important. You poop. right? Your kids poop. Pay attention. Pay attention. Make sure you're looking. It is a science experiment and it can tell us so much about what is going on in the body. If we can't get you pooping, we can't get you healing. It's imperative. It's like step one. My step one is amazing. If you are ready to take step one, you don't have to go all in. You don't have to do a big package. You don't have to work with me. I have made a new easily accessible step one. If you go under my website and go under challenges and do that 30-day energy reset, that is an awesome step one. We do some Cellcore Biosciences products. We open up your organs of elimination. We charge up your mitochondria and you will feel amazing. You can repeat step one for a whole year if you want, because you will feel that good. Like, it's amazing. Most of my clients, fatigue is one of their biggest complaints. Biggest complaints is fatigue, and it's because their mitochondria have been recruited by the immune system because they're full of pathogens. So before we can do anything, we've got to get your mitochondria boosted. We've got to get your mitochondria some help, right? We can't heal anything if the mitochondria are dead. The mitochondria we have the most in your brain, in your heart, and in your major muscles. So brain fog, no energy, yeah, you're needing some help. Your body's needing some help. So thank you everybody who joined in. If you're on the replay, thank you for being there too. I am a small little one-person show. So I really, 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 from the bottom of my heart, appreciate any likes, any shares on social media. Help me get the word out. I can't stress how much that really does help. On my website under challenges, there's a bunch of free challenges. Like, just start somewhere. Pick one of those free challenges. I know sometimes even committing, it just feels like a big deal, but I've got a 5-day no sugar free challenge. You can do that. You can do 5 days. After 5 days, you'll kind of get some momentum. You'll feel like things are progressing. So if you can't do anything else, you can do that. It's 5 days. Another great one is Whole 30 or Whole Me. It's under that free, or that challenge. It's totally free. You're going to do the Whole 30 food program. You're going to do some deep breathing. You're going to do some journaling. That too, totally free. A great place to start. I just implore you, start somewhere. Start today. Let me click on this and get out of here. Maybe not. I want to play my little outro and it doesn't want to let me. Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe if I go like this. Thanks for being here, Shalam. I really appreciate it. All right, here, maybe. No. So that outro won't play when I'm on portrait. I appreciate you guys allowing me to fiddle with this technology. Oh, I can't switch it while I'm live. All right. Well, in the outro, it's just my call to action. And my call to action for you in the here and now is all underneath my challenges. You can start somewhere. There's free programs, there's paid programs. If you have been listening to me, and you're spending time, just work with me one-on-one. I love my online community. We operate a little bit differently online than we do in person. It's kind of more intensive. It really is. It's amazing. My books are not full. I've got room for you. 2 months from now, that might not be the case, but right now, I've got room for you. So get to my website, awakenwellnessllc.com. Wherever you're at social, there is a link in bio that will take you there.
All right, all you ambitious professionals that are ready to take back control of your health, here is your call to action. Number 1, follow on social media. We would truly appreciate your likes and your shares. Next, go to awakenwellnessllc.com and get your discovery call scheduled. If you're on the website and you drop under information, you can see our package and service options. If you're local, stop in the store and say, hey. If you'll be working with us online, get that discovery call booked. Let's talk soon.